Hey there, welcome back. It's Sandy McIver here, and today I am sharing how to create these quick and easy wreath cards using dies from Syberia Designs. They are beautiful, they are fun, and they are super easy to make. Let's start with the dies I'll be using today. We're starting with winter foliage, and in particular these three pieces here from this set. For the bows, I'm using the pretty bows, the small one. And the background, a little background noise with the Meadow Magic cover die. One of the sentiments for one of the cards is from the Be Merry die set. There's also the large Hello dies and the Fa La La dies for one of the Christmas cards, and Bright and Bubbly die set, which is an everyday one, but I grabbed the sparkle to put it on a Christmas card. To save some time, I pre-cut everything. The background is a pale blue, and I've run that through my die cutting machine. I have 3 of these little white bows that I have glued together for the card today, and I have all of my foliage that I've cut along with some berries, and I've already done my sentiment. And I'm going to make one card today to show you how to put it all together because all of the cards are the same. They're just using different cardstock and different background colors. You're going to need a card base of 4 1/4 by 11 scored and folded at 5 1/2. The card front in pale blue is 4 by 5 1/4, and I'm going to add some foam strips to the back of it because I want to pop it up just a little bit. And sorry, I'm just kind of out of the camera there with that. Showing you my no-stick scissors from Simon Says Stamps. They're pretty awesome, especially when you're cutting this foam because it's got lots of glue on it and it does love to stick to your scissors. Okay, I'm going to speed this up. You get the idea. We're covering the back of the card front with the foam tape. And I've attached it to the card base, so we are ready to start building the wreath. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take one of these circle dies and a pencil, and I'm going to just draw a really fine line around where I want my wreath to go. And this is going to help direct me where I want to glue down all of my foliage. So I'm just grabbing all of my little green pieces. I'm going to glue them on first, and then I'm going to tuck in the berries afterwards. So we are going to grab our Barely Art glue with the beautiful fine tip. I love this stuff. Best glue on the market as far as I'm concerned. I'm going to use tweezers to try and keep my fingers a little bit on the clean side. And I'm going to add glue just to the bottom couple of branches because I want the tips to stick up. I don't want my whole wreath to be flat. And so you can start anywhere in the circle, it really doesn't matter. But what you're going to do is you're going to overlap these by about a half as you work your way around gluing down all the foliage. And I think I used 9 die cuts for this one, if I'm not mistaken. I just did a quick count. Okay, so I'm just putting the last little guy in there. You want to tuck them underneath the very first one. Okay, that's all ready to go. Next, I like to put my bow on because then after that, it's going to determine where my berries are going to go. So again, just putting a big glob of glue onto the back of my bow, and I'm going to position it at the bottom. Okay, and I'm just going to hold on to that for a couple secs because everything underneath is not glued down, so I need a little bit of that glue to seep around and get into all the little nooks and crannies. While I'm waiting for that to dry, I'm adding a couple of foam squares to the back of the sentiment that I did. And again, this is from the Be Merry sentiment die set. It's Joy, which I cut out of red, and then I did the shadow out of the white. And that's going to go in the center of my wreath. Now it's time to do the berries, and I like to dry fit them first because I want them balanced around the wreath. And I'm just showing you which die I used for them because there's 3 berry dies in that set. I like the one with a little stem because it gives me room to add some glue and then still have it sticking out nicely from my foliage. The other ones are round, so you kind of have to stick them on top, otherwise they get buried underneath the foliage. But of course, it's your personal preference because it's your card. Okay, so I'm just kind of moving around trying to figure out where I want all these little guys. I try and not stick them underneath the bow because then you end up with 3 layers of die cutting and it gets a little messy trying to squeeze things in there. Okay, so we're going to grab our glue and we are going to start adding these, finalizing where we are positioning them, and in many cases just lifting up that loose foliage and tucking them underneath because you don't really want the stem to show too much. And just move your card around, and again using tweezers, it's a lot easier than trying to hold on to these little tiny pieces. And there's my last one. Voila! So all the die cutting and gluing is finished. Isn't it pretty? Now it's time to add some splatter. Everything's better with splatter. We are going to gold splatter today. I have my splat box out and I'm going to be using the Gansatambis. I love these guys. They're nice and shimmery. And I'm just going to squirt some water in there. And then you want to work the paint up really, really well with a brush. I'm using a medium tip brush. I think it's a 3 or a 4. And I like to get this quite wet. I'm practicing a little bit of my splatter just on my paper towel there. Make sure I got the size of the dots that I want. And then I'm trying to focus mainly on the wreath, but I also want some splatter in the background as well. And so just work your way around it. You may have to add a little bit more water to your paint as it thickens up. And you'll notice that because it gets harder to splat. And you can also tap this on your finger if you want. That will give you smaller splats. I find that doing it this way, I get bigger ones. So I'm picking it up, just making sure I have nice coverage all over the card. And there we go. It's all splattered up. Okay, here's a quick walkthrough of what I used for each of the 4 cards, starting with the one that we just finished, and it's Meadow Magic cover die for the background. We've got the Be Merry Sentiments for the joy in the center, and we've got Winter Foliage for all the foliage on the wreath, and the Pretty Bows, the small die, for the white bow. I decided to do a couple of rainbow cards, and this one is kind of done in jewel tones. So again, we started off with the Meadow Magic cover die, but this time I did it in white, so it's kind of hard for you to see. You can see it in the pictures, which I'm going to display in a minute. We used the large hello for the sentiment, again cut 3 times for the center, and then the winter foliage for the wreath pieces. The second Christmas card, done with a white background, has all basically the same pieces as the first one, except I used the Fa La La sentiment for the center. So Meadow Magic cover plate for the back, the winter foliage for all of the wreath, but this is done with the spiky leaves instead of the round ones. And Fa La La has 2 components. It has a glimmer hot foil, and it also has a die cut set, so you could use either one. I use the die set and use some lovely matte gold cardstock. And again, the bow, this time I did it in red. The final card is another rainbow card, and I did this one with the spiky leaves instead of the round ones, and I used that beautiful big sparkle die. I just love that thing. And it's not a Christmas die, it's an everyday die, but why not sparkle? Everybody sparkles for the holidays, right? And shine you could use as well. And again, the foliage, and there's the spiky leaves that I used. So there you go. There's 4 different ways that you can make these pretty little wreath cards. They don't need to be for the holidays. The rainbow ones are great for birthdays or, just to cheer somebody up. Everything I've used in today's video is linked underneath in the comments section, and there's also a link over to the Alex Syberia blog where I have this listed today, and there are thumbnails over there for all of the products as well. If you enjoyed today's video, please consider giving us a thumbs up, and don't forget to ring the bell to get notified of future videos. Until next time, toodles.